Spook.
Yes.
It says the All Ordinaries are up by 25.
That's not possible. They lost by 30 odd points.
Huh. Welcome to Collingwood Rant. I'm Sly.
And I'm not fucking swearing Spook.
Spook.
Yes.
It's all gone to shit.
Hasn't it? Hey, do you know how quickly you can fall off a cliff?
Well, I think Collingwood's demonstrating it.
It's like bungee jumping without a cord.
Yeah. I'm just sort of curious, where do you start the post-mortem? Because it's more than just the loss this week. They've lost 3 of the last 5 games. They haven't looked good since the King's birthday break. Mm-hmm. They just won that also. They've struggled. They've screwed around with selection quite a bit. They've had some injuries.
They've managed selections.
They've managed themselves out of form. Yeah. So I'll actually look at selection. They bring DeGoey in. He hasn't played really since that Geelong game, but even then he was struggling.
He played in the VFL and was dominant.
He played for about 28 minutes.
Well, he played.
He
turned up.
Mitchell had to play 7 weeks before he got a recall.
What are you saying?
Yeah, I'll get to that. Were you surprised DeGoey was selected?
No, I think the urgency to get him in is real.
Do you think it was the right move to put him in the starting? Not to put him a sub.
I was surprised. I thought he would have started as sub, definitely, and then Hill would have played a full game. And do you know why? Because Hill's not fucking injured.
Yeah, so I was actually really dismayed.
And he's a forward.
Yeah, I was dismayed by this strategy. I would have thought Markov would be actually the sub if you're going to keep playing him.
I would have thought Markov would be playing in the VFL.
Well, there's another one, and maybe to give that Will Parker a look. I actually found it absurd that they played DeGoey with the intent that your unmanaged minutes were getting you off. What would have happened, and it was actually close to it occurring, if he was best on ground, you still take him off and you lose the dominance?
I think that was the plan, irrespective of
That's what I'm saying. It just sort of seemed like a ridiculous decision.
And look, I'm sure we can cover it now or not.
Cover it now. Just go for it.
I think even at his, he was okay. He was still better than about 6 of them out there who should have been subbed in his place.
Well, it was
I can't understand why they just didn't rest him in full forward. Let him play out the game at full forward.
Well, he was instrumental in that second quarter in turning the tide with Nick. And then once he went off and Nick just got shut out of it, there was no one at all. So I found that ridiculous. As you just said, Hill wasn't injured, so surely he hasn't lost much conditioning, unless the club's not telling us something that he was going on benders or something.
Well, he's a forward. He's not going to be covering massive mats. All you got to do is just run around that little arc. It's easy.
Yeah, I thought the management here was really poor. Not bringing Frampton back.
No, it's a strange one.
Persevering with Dean. And maybe they wanted to see what Dean will look like against better opposition than Richmond.
I think we've seen enough.
Yeah. So the selections were quite weird. First quarter, after about the first 2.5 minutes where we looked like, we're on, they really eclipsed us. It looked like it could get ugly. The second quarter, we turned the momentum. And we pulled back. I think we gave that goal in red time.
Yeah, yep.
But it looked like, hang on. Maybe we're in this. Although, having said that, going into halftime, I thought the only 2 clear match winners for us were Nick, and DeGoey to an extent, and Schultz. Mm-hmm. I thought everyone else was struggling. I'll say it because I've said it before. Darcy Cameron can't ruck. He's not a good ruckman. He's great around the ground. He takes some great marks. But he was eclipsed by Darcy Fort. They got so much
Battle
first
of the Darcys.
Yeah,
was it? Yeah.
They got so much first use coming out of the midfield.
I did see that there's a few times when he did hit out to advantage. He did the one little party trick where he would, as soon as the ball was bounced, he'd circle around in front of Ford and block him, and then tap forward to space, and Nick or Deggs took it and run. But that was it. I think they worked it out after about the 3rd time and nullified it.
What I saw a lot was him tapping to where the players used to be.
What, last week?
Or where they should have been. So, and you can't blame Cameron for that because there's some sort of midfield strategy that they're implementing. So there's something from off field that's instructing them to do this. But we flagged this a few weeks ago where we said from round 8 we've been the worst contested possession side in the league. And a lot of that is the stoppages. And in all these games, even though we won some of them, we would get these really messy clearances. Very rarely would we just stream out with a long kick. It would be handball, it's always trying to find space while retreating, and then usually a hurried kick. Meanwhile, the opposition, whoever it was, were just streaming out and going long and direct into defence. So there's a fucking massive he swore again. There's a fucking massive problem there with that midfield, how it works. It's lacking, outside of Nick, it's lacking any genuine A-graders. I've been a big Ned Long advocate, but I think he should have been rested about 4 weeks ago.
He's struggling.
You know what he reminds me of? I was thinking about this. It reminds me of the way they handled Mark McGough back in 2002. Remember when he first popped up?
Exploded onto the scene.
Yeah, second game, won the Anzac Day medal. Was like, oh shit, what do we got here? And then as the season went on, you could see he was tiring, he was struggling, and Malthouse kept playing him, and he went from, really, what do we got here, to just please take him out of the side. He's really not up to it in terms of the physical requirements at this formative stage of his career. And the same thing with Long, he just really looks like he's hit a wall.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised at the way they've used Mitchell. Played him for 7 weeks in the VFL, brought him in, then managed him out, and then brought him in for 2 more weeks, and then managed him back out. Meanwhile, you're not doing that with the going in that.
I think with Mitchell, the writing's been put on the wall for him to read.
Yeah.
There was some interview with him recently where he was saying that he really wants to stay and play on. I don't think you do that if you knew you were staying and playing on. I think that it's either been left in the air or he's been told in no uncertain terms that that's probably it. And look, what was it 684 days since he last played or something in between that break? It's not something he's a quality player, but you're not going to be investing trust in his durability.
I would think.
Although having said that, he'll play this week.
I'm gonna just with total honesty, as we always fucking do. They had that list on Footy Furnace of the 8 players over 30, and they'd offered contracts to 6. And the 2 they hadn't offered contracts to, or they were going to wait and see how the season unfolded, was Mason Cox and Tom Mitchell. Now, why you're offering a contract to someone like Will Hoskin-Elliott, who has really struggled this year? He's had a few cameos here and there, but otherwise has really struggled. If, Mitchell wants to stay and you can lowball him with an offer and say, well, we don't trust your body, but we'll keep you on for 1 year at a discount price to us. And if you don't like it, then we're happy to trade you or you're happy to go elsewhere. I would have thought that would be a prerequisite. Our midfield sucks. It's really flattered by the fact that Nick's in there and he does well. Pendles hasn't been great the last few weeks. He did a few nice things last night. Sidebottom hasn't been the same since they subbed him off to manage him from that Fremantle game.
He was going to win a Brownlow when he started the year 4.
Oh, he was brilliant. The goalie obviously has been injured. You've had sort of cameos going through. I don't understand why Jack Crisp doesn't actually play in the middle more.
No, some strange pushing out and then off to the sides with some of these positioning. But anyway, what about Josh, though, the world's greatest midfielder?
So Josh Dacos.
What hasn't he got in there?
All these Collingwood supporters who were telling us, oh, look at what we've found is a freak and all this sort of stuff, even though he played there for years previously. That midfield's really a big issue. And the guys, and see, again, Ed Allen, I would have thought you would stick him in the middle. He's a big-bodied player. That's his specialty inside. But they've pushed him out to the wing when they're playing, which is still strange, and then they dropped him for this week. So, I don't know. I don't know. You know what it feels like to me? It feels like at the start of the year, they said, okay, we're going to bring in Houston, we're going to bring in Perry, we're going to bring in Membry. And then Long's popped up unexpectedly. This is our best 23, and they've got it down on paper, and they're trying to manufacture that best 23, and it's not fucking working.
No, I think some of that is true, but they've also had to shift a few players around, I think, to try and get the replacements in. And it's clearly, we've been winning games, which has been masking a lot of it, but it's clearly now having a clearly visible impact. You would think the obvious reaction would be to put them back in their best positions now. But I think that almost defeats the purpose what you spent a season trying to achieve.
I think what they really need to do is just sit down and go, okay, what's the best team? Fuck off preconceptions of what your expectations were coming into the season. I don't think the Membry, Myercheck, McStay thing really works. They kicked goals, I think, against Richmond. It's like, yay, against Richmond. As I said, Elliott plays as that lead-up forward. I actually did a little bit of research. You should be happy. In the 6 games that McStay was absent, including the one he was injured, Jamie Elliott kicked 23 goals. So that's in the 6 games that Dan McStay wasn't there. And in the 14 games McStay's been there for the whole game, Elliott's kicked 25 goals. So I think that actually shows, and it's not bagging McStay, that's just how that synergy is working in the forward 50. I don't think it works, but they've actually fucked up because they're going, we've got to back McStay, and I think a big problem here is Cameron's not a good ruckman, and McStay's a worse ruckman. So when you actually were playing Cox, you were getting actually a much better ruck contest. And what's ultimately happened is, I think playing ruck is actually impacting how well McStay is playing as a forward also. Because it's not an easy duty to...
Yeah, I mean, the glaring standout for me last night was with all three of them, is that, and I think I threw these numbers, so I hope I get them right again. For the whole game, Meachek took 2 marks, McStay took 1 mark, and Memory took the mark. Yeah. This is 3 of your key forwards who couldn't get their fucking hands on the pill. And it obviously, clearly, you can put a lot of it on the disconnect that's going on between the midfield and the forward entries. You know, if you're going to bomb and all that sort of thing, surely you do it to a bunch of blokes who stand a better than average chance of marking the thing. At the moment, they couldn't mark. Were they marking in the warm-up? I didn't see anything. It's just deplorable return.
I mean, McStay and Mychek can be good contested marks, but that's not really their primary asset.
Yeah, then why are we bombing to them then?
And that's the best question, is why are we bombing to them? You know how fucking sick I am of watching Collingwood come out of the fence, and if you're listening to this, so I'm going to describe what I'm going to do, pointing long down the line and then just kicking it down the line. Yeah, that's the whole strategy now.
That was, I mean, Dean does that, well, he was doing that a fair bit. Like, there's no option. I'm going to kick it that way.
Yeah.
And you could see that Brisbane were visibly confused by this strategy.
Yeah.
What, if he's going to kick it over there, if he's pointing there, we'll run over here.
It's madness. It's like the whole, it's almost like a Buckley-esque game plan from about 2016, 2017, where it's just kick it long and let's hope we win the spillage, and then we'll drive it forward and we'll get overlap and runners. And the thing is, you're being killed in the ground ball, so that wasn't working as a strategy. No one actually adjusted it. You get players like Lipinski, who I was told was in All-Australian contention. He won't even be in contention to get in the building when they hold a function. And like, that's not to bag him as like, you know, he's had a goodish year, but let's not overrate these players, you know. We kept getting, you should apologise for Hoskinelli. How good has he been this year? You have a lot of players who are great when the system is up and working. When it breaks down, it starts exposing the fact that there's a lot of role players.
And I think we're massively in that space right now. I mean, we're screaming for pace in that side, and we just don't have anyone running around. I think you could, when the structure was working and the system was working, you covered those shortfalls. But the minute that the system's broken down, everyone's been rapidly exposed for their lack of foot speed. I mean, who are the pacey runners in our side? Probably
Hill, McCreary,
and maybe
Schultz to an extent, Nick to an extent.
Yeah, but that's really about it. You know, there's no run coming out of the centre. So, I mean, McCreary. I mean, you could see the difference when he came back for those 5 minutes before his hamstring went bang again. The pace that he has really gets the ball out, and he can get clear of that centre break.
I mean, I would love to see McRae and company think a little bit more laterally and sort of go like, all right, Nick, you start in the middle. If that's not working, let's push you out to the wing and give you space to operate in. If that's not working, you can go forward and let's bring Bobby Hill up, who can use his pace on the wing or come in.
Yeah, I'd like to see a whole.
You get this really slow midfield. I mean, going back to the Suns game, I think at one stage it was Long, Pendlebury, and Sidebottom, and then obviously Cameron in the centre square. And it was like, geez, you're playing against guys who are in their 20s who have got a little bit of foot speed, and you've put our 3 slowest midfielders in there, or they've arranged to get in there themselves.
You see the opposition. It's like that scene in X-Men where that Flash clone was moving all the bullets and everything around. So our players are moving in slow motion, and Brisbane did it to perfection the other night, just moving around these slow-moving guys. Yeah, not a care in the world. Their pressure rating was 18 quintillion.
Oh, it was like up to 248.
And, it's their highest pressure rating ever. And you think, well, it's not difficult to be not impressed by that because our resistance to that pressure was negligible.
Yeah, I mean, I got 2 points to make to that. So firstly, like in the movie X-Men, the women spend so much time saving the men. It should be called X-Women. In jokes. Our zones are so porous now. We're just constantly away from opposition, so they're able to chip it around with ease. Again, going back to a Buckley game plan, I recall that. And again, going back to a Buckley gameplay, how many times in the counter does opposition, not just Brisbane, everyone's been doing, Richmond was doing it. They go forward and they got like two forwards unmanned, 25 metres from goal without a Collingwood player anywhere near them.
Well, when you got Darcy Moore on you, it's easy to be unmanned.
Well, there's another thing. So Dean wasn't great, which is being kind. So Moore's really struggled. So now maybe, Moore is better as the summer passed. The one thing I really noticed, or the two things I noticed with Moore is he was really good up until he got that hit in the head, and he's really struggled since then. So I don't know if that's
maybe
still
he's got blurred vision. He hasn't realised that his opponent isn't 12 metres in front of him.
That's something. But the other thing too is the amount of times like he'll attack a pack and you'll get clear. Like he did this double-fisted punch where he smashed it 28 miles away, and it was like you're on top of the whole pack. Just mark it, back yourself. So it's really frustrating to see everything break down, and you're really relying on Nick to get 50 possessions to sort of drive the game forward.
Yeah, there was. I think it was early in the game that I thought he was actually started well. When you
first
look
half
at
he was good.
When you I'm talking about. I didn't give you the name. But when you're looking at defence, Quaynar was he was the only one who looked likely to take a mark, and he was taking a couple. I think he took a couple of contested marks. Only finished with 4. But for his size, he shouldn't be the one that's jumping up to take those grabs. What's Dean and Moore's excuse in this instance?
Well, all right, so we're going to the defence. You got Maynard, who he limped off at training, and he played like he'd limped off at training. Quaynar has had an interesting year. I think he had like a really good block for about 4 weeks, but I don't think he's been brilliant.
No, he hasn't been terrible, though.
No, he hasn't been terrible. But in terms of the way that defence is working, I think, in all honesty, Josh Dacos's disposal is overrated. He can do some beautiful stuff, but sometimes he really overestimates what he can get away with.
Do you know who's got really good disposal?
Dean.
The bloke who can't get near it. Houston.
Well, and that's who I was going to go to, Houston. So,
but finish on Josh.
No. I'm just sort of saying, you're not getting that drive out of there. Now, you've gone and traded for this guy to be an elite rebounder. Because people should get this clear, because I'm fucking sick of reading he's doing well and then all the excuses that people make for him. He's defining a new role. What, to be underwhelming? I've got enough players doing that.
Well, here's a clue for everyone. Even the media's cottoned onto it. And he's been copping a bit of a hammering.
So on the couch, they talked about it. Jack Riot talked about it post-game and speculated, I don't think he'll be there in the first league of finals because he's playing that poorly and they should probably move him up. He was taken as an elite rebounder. That's why they got him. All right. So if you think getting some defensive efforts is good and the rest is just, bonus, you're fucked up. You got this. It'd be like saying you got Charlie Curnow. It's a bonus if he kicks a few goals, as long as he's up there contesting.
What I found incredulous this week is there was an article written, which I think it was a puff piece from the mouth of the club. I don't know who wrote the article.
Oh, that was the Jake in denial.
Jake Denial?
Yeah.
Oh, he's the mouthpiece of the club.
Yeah.
And it was that classic thing. Do you remember when Shooter was struggling and they had that video that the social media put up and all that sort of thing? Wasn't he saving a puppy or something?
Yeah.
Or went and visited some sick kids or something, the usual sort of propaganda piece. But this piece, again, talked about that. I mean, there was 2 glaring things that stood out for me that I've ranted about a little bit.
Just a little bit?
He doesn't know where to run yet. He hasn't worked out the running lines and all that sort of thing. This is a fucking bloke in his, 9th, 10th season, the senior player, coming off the back of 2 All-Australians, back-to-back, who doesn't know where to run.
Yeah.
I mean, how the fuck could you actually get away with printing that? That's offensive to anyone, really.
Well, it goes back to what I said. I mean, Markov picked it up in 8 weeks. So why is it taking Houston so long? I mean, all the counters have been ridiculous. So, because weren't you saying someone said like Markov played with McRae at Richmond or something like that?
No, that's what Turts
justified
it. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. Sorry. But it was just like, what? So what? We're using Richmond's VFL game plan. That's why like Markov picked it up 8 years later.
Yes, there's something familiar about where they're running to. It's like, I can almost see the lines appearing.
And then you get things like I saw he's not used to playing for a big club and, with the spotlight on him. He was in a 2-team town, so the spotlight was already on him. He played for a club that's played finals for the last 6 or 7 years. He's played in front of as parochial a crowd as you're going to get. Stop making excuses. He is not producing what we need him to produce.
I totally agree. But the second thing I wanted to bring up though, there was a little paragraph that said where Houston said he's been going to Fly and saying, I want to do more, I want to kick the ball more, and he goes, and Fly's going, nah, just calm yourself down. We really like what you're doing. You know, the fact you're doing fuck all, we're really, really liking it. Keep at it. And you know, that again, that's the second most insulting thing that was in there. That never happened. You wouldn't do that.
No.
It's just like, come on. I think you've got to just concede that it's been a poor fucking season, and only one person can extract a digit and make this better.
Look, no, it's actually two people. So you got to work out, all right, if he's not producing, why isn't he producing?
Well, there's nowhere to run.
No, but
he's still learning the trade.
Honestly, they've got to
he doesn't know all the players' names yet.
Honestly, they've got to examine it, like McRae and the Brains Trust. Why aren't you producing at the level it required to produce? Now,
well, apparently they invited him to a meeting to work it out, but he ran the wrong way.
No, but it's what's not working there. So, like, that's what I really am curious. They've actually got to sit down and go, why isn't it working the way it was working at Port? I mean, one of the counters we had here previously was, at Port he was playing a lone hand, that's why he could stand out, and here he doesn't have to play a lone hand because Nick or Josh are playing at halfback and Quainer and all that. It's like, shouldn't that make it easier for him to get away from if he's got players taking focus away from him? He's not a decoy. You didn't recruit him to be a decoy. You recruited him to be an elite All-Australian rebounding defender. If you accept anything else, and if you qualify that anything else is fine, you're a big part of the problem as to why this club settles for mediocrity and espouses it as brilliance. It's not. They've got to work out, why is this not working for him? And I don't know what that is. I mean, only the people inside the club could know, but it's not producing what they require, and I think that's also putting pressure on others to compensate to some extent.
No, I mean, this is an elite player. He should be producing elite football. Whether they move him to another position or we've got Josh out of the back line, which is meant to be hindering him. But even when he gets the ball, he's just so slow. He looks slow with his decision making, his execution. He gets caught. His tackling on the weekend was fucking deplorable. You just look at him and you're thinking, I don't know what people ever saw, because you're not demonstrating any of it at Collingwood.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. They've got to work out why this is happening. Is it just purely, you're so tragically out of form for whatever reason? You got to work it out, because you can't keep having these back six that are spluttering like this.
No.
So
I want fucking Dan Houston out there. I want Dan Houston fit firing and delivering that ball with pinpoint accuracy.
Well,
Fix it.
I saw one idiotic defence was, he's part of a defence that's kept opposition down to 69 points or whatever it is.
But that's not what we recruited him for.
It's not happening anymore, though. So, Brisbane smashed you, Fremantle smashed you.
Also that too.
So, Gold Coast smashed you. So, you can't keep falling back on that stat. That stat doesn't stand up anymore. And the whole, not because just of Houston, but the whole game plan has sort of deteriorated, where it really looks, I don't know, in terms of what they're trying to do anymore, because it just seems so predictable. Point down a line, kick it long, and then hope that someone will spill it, or, get the spillage, and then we can do an overlap running forward. So, and defensively, it's terrible. Like the zones, where you look at like the games against Hawthorn, for example, like 6-7 weeks ago, we were applying those zones to the point that Hawthorn would be going one way and then going, we can't get out this way. And then they'd be going back across the ground. In the last 5 weeks or so, everyone's just chipping fucking through all the holes in the zones.
Or handballing at someone's feet. Or just throwing the ball and hoping it's going to land somewhere. It's just a lot of spraying and praying.
Yeah, so I'm really concerned for how they...
Do you think that we're foxing? Do you think we're deliberately going out there and not showing our hand by playing like...
Oh, totally.
I can't say the word.
I totally believe that we were 10 points clear on the ladder, and we decided to drop from that to being second on the ladder.
It throws the competition out. Now Adelaide's top of the ladder. All the focus can be on how to stop them. This could be a masterstroke from Fly.
Yeah,
Do you know that Dan Houston may just come out in the first final and rip his skin out, and there'll be this bronze Adonis statue under there. He'll dominate.
I'll tell you one thing I liked. It was one of the frees he gave away for too high. I can't remember if it was on Morris or that other guy. Was it Henry Smith, whatever his name was? I can't remember. John Henry Irons? I don't know who it was. But Because the guy did go to ground, and Houston collected him low, and it was like he was so pissed off at the call, he just sort of shoved him back to the ground, and I was like, okay, I'm actually happy that I'm seeing that sort of anger and frustration because it shows me you really do care.
And maybe he needs to do a little bit more of that too, because he was a bit of an aggro man at Port, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He's just meek and timid here with us.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this.
Is it because he doesn't know which way to run, do you think?
Well, that's potentially the case, you know.
Maybe he's like Forrest Gump. We're just going to bounce the ball and he's just going to run down the race and just keep running.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that...
I'll just keep running, Fla.
You'd think the goals you're kicking
that wasn't Forrest
toward...
Gump.
No, you'd think the... What's it going, Paul? You'd think the goals you're kicking to would be a good lighthouse to aim for. So just looking at this, so Josh and Nick both got 29 possession. Pendlebury got 22, Sidebottom 21, Lipinski, Schultz 17. Schultz is good, Lipinski was not. Perryman 16, Chris 15. These are terrible numbers. You know, Maynard 15, the Goey 12, Darcy Cameron 12, Houston 11, Quaynor 10, and then, you know, Long 9, which is just, if you were going to make a tactical sub, he should have been the one who went off. But I understand that potentially in the sports science department they're going, well, you can only play this many minutes, otherwise we increase the risk of him redoing the injury or whatever. Elliott 8, Moore 8, Markov 8, Dean 8, Hoskin Elliott 6, Mychek 6, Membry 5, Bobby Hill 4, so obviously as the sub, McStay 3. These are terrible numbers. And the system is just falling down. Now, maybe next week they'll get back. How? Because we've got a bank on the 41-year-old coming back. And they should bring in Frampton, you'd think.
I think so. But look, they're really... And the age kills me, but they are key missing pieces of that defensive puzzle at the moment. Because I think once the two of them are back in, it frees up Moore to be... I think Moore is a better defender when he's not having to be accountable one-on-one. If he can then roam and do his magic spoils and take intercept marks, and the other two are doing the grunt work, then suddenly defence starts looking solid again. If it's solid again, maybe we start rebounding out of there and some of that structure may start waking up again.
I think one thing they've got to do is really address the midfield issue because you're constantly subjecting the defence to a plethora of attacks. Too often it's occurring so quickly that, I mean, one of the misfortunes of playing as a defender is you can do everything right, but if the forward gets off on a lead, you can't stop him.
No.
If it's a nice kick and all that, and it doesn't matter who the defender is. So I think a lot of that is happening because the opposition midfield are just getting too much time and space to carry the ball forward, which means the defence doesn't have time to set up the zone, to try and fill in gaps and all that, and it leaves them entirely vulnerable. So they've really got to fix the midfield, and the only person who can actually do that, in my opinion, now is Mitchell. He's the only guy who's going to put his head over the ball, he's going to apply defensive pressure. Long's work output has just fallen drastically away now.
Well, what did he end up with? It
was 9 possessions.
11% disposal efficiency or something? Did I read that?
Yeah, 11%.
You
got 8
can't
tackles.
You can't hold your spot. And look, I don't think he should hold his spot at any rate. He needs rest. He needs to be managed.
I actually don't like this. Like I compared it to McGough before, and I don't like when... I understand if it's a Pendlebury on 400 games or whatever, but when you got a young guy coming up, I want you, or the coaching staff, to give him some leeway to find his way. But when the returns are progressively declining, and you can see his influence is becoming less and less, you do need to just drop him and go reset in the reserves.
It's got to be smashing his confidence in himself as well.
That's what I'm saying.
I think at the start of the year when you're on top of the world and you were looking like you were going to be brilliant, you can do no wrong because you're so confident in your abilities. Now at the moment he's holding his head up high and he's trying, but he's just not being effective.
No.
And I think you wouldn't send him back to the VFL for a run. Just give him a week off. Yeah, see how he comes back fresh, see how he's training, and then maybe bring him back in.
I would send him down because I just think he's gotten to that point. I mean, the other thing too is I think the opposition are now putting more time into him. Because they're saying if he's winning the contested ball, then Nick's getting on the outside, so put more time into him. But he's at such a low ebb. I think he's probably gonna have to rediscover touch because he doesn't seem. He always seems like he's a little bit rushed, and what he's offering. I mean, 11% disposal efficiency, so that's basically saying of his 9 possessions, what is it, like 8 of them or 7.5 of them? I don't know how it works. went back to the opposition. You can't say like a week's rest will fix that, especially when you're playing teams like Hawthorn and Adelaide coming up. So they're going to be two monster sides where you're not going to have a lot of time. So is a week's break really going to help? It's probably going to hinder him.
I think it's just more about just getting him mentally fresh again. I think he can play, but it's a lot of this stuff now is above the shoulders. I think, and you just need take that time away, reset, and then maybe.
But what I'm saying is like playing those two sides, you could be in relatively good form, and let's say you miss a week of suspension and come back, and just missing that week and just being dropped straight into a really high pressure game that's going to be at a fast pace and really defensive. It's probably going to fuck with anyone. So
I guess the only risky thing is that as you're getting into the business end of the season, any time that you're admitted or dropped or whatever, that hits probably twice as hard, and now you're a better than average chance of not missing finals. But
the thing is, though, you can't speculate now. So on form, he shouldn't have his spot.
No, I think it comes down to that.
And then if you put Mitchell, even if it was like Harry Demeter or someone, whoever it is, you brought someone in and they're performing, they deserve the right to continue trying. So this is the way I'm also looking at it. This is what I said before. I think they're constantly trying to manufacture that 23 that they had down in theory on paper at the start of the year. It's not working. I really think one of Membry or McStay has to go. I don't think that's... Membry's great when he gets his, couple of shots at goal. But that's really pretty much all he does. He has about 8 possessions a game or something. He'll kick a goal too, and that's great input.
Yeah, I know. It's hard because they've invested so much now. I don't think they want to drop.
But the thing is, you're looking at it from the point of, in terms of, and I know I've had injuries, but if you had Hill, McCreary and Schultz there on top of Elliott, then you got a lot faster forward six. You got 3 of them constantly applying pressure. So you're actually getting a benefit even if they have low possession returns. That's not Membry or McStay or my check. They're not going to have big tackle games and that. I think it's a bit slower of a forward line. It too easily pings back out of there because of opposition just don't have that pressure on them.
No.
So, and you saw that, like that one goal that Hill kicked, he crossed that distance because he had speed. You're not going to get that from the other guys. And I think the reality is they've actually played themselves into a corner because the reality is Cox is still your best relief ruck. Okay? Now, you got to look at it from, does McStay or Membry, are they producing more up for the Cox would that it compensates for either of them being relief rucks?
And that's the sort of stupidity of it all right now, that if you're going to maintain this bombing thing, you might as well have Cox there. Because at least he's going to contest, and he's more than average going to bring it to the ground. I mean, how many intercept marks or contested marks Harris Andrews had? We seem to be singling him out. I mean, there was one other defender of theirs.
We did that with
filling the hole.
Yeah, we did that with Louston 2 weeks ago. So it was the same thing. You're bombing it straight to them. I mean, on the flip side, maybe you play Cox in the ruck and you push Cameron up forward and you drop both McStay and Membry.
He didn't have sticky hands.
No, I know, but he's a much more renowned mark. So, I don't know, but I just think they're not going to play themselves back in the form with that DNA that they're manufacturing the side. It's not working.
No, more experimentation isn't required.
If you go back to the 2023 grand final and you look at, do you think this side has improved from 2023?
No, look, it was an amazing effort then, but it was a big ask to see it continue, I think. With the ages that we were 2 years ago to now, you're always going to have a natural decline.
Well, this is the thing.
It's amazing that they were up top of the ladder for so long. I mean, it's credit to the way it was working.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah, but it's not.
But what I'm trying to just point out is, they've changed personnel, but I don't think it's actually improved the side that much. Of the players who were there, some of them, like Darcy Moore, have gone backwards. Nick Dacos...
backwards? Usually way backwards.
Yeah. Nick Dacos has gone forward. And Elliott's probably another one who's gone forward to some extent when he gets the opportunity. But you've lost players like Mitchell was a vital contributor to that inside mid, defensive mid. He could have won the Norm Smith on that game. He was on Neil, totally nullified him. Lost Nathan Murphy, which has been a huge loss that they haven't been able to fill for 2 years.
Or maybe Jack Telvian is the answer there.
Okay. But this is the thing: is
He's a young 29. I mean, we haven't got many under 30.
Look, I've got no problem with them going for Jack Silvani. You know, my bigger problem is with the way they've managed this list. And this is with no disrespect intended to these guys. But after the 2023 grand final, shorts shouldn't have been a priority. It should have been an inside mid or another key defender.
Yeah, I agree.
And you didn't do it. And then you've got him Houston. All right, fine, he's a quality player, he's an elite player. But again, you still got those two other holes, which is the midfield and the key defender. You haven't replaced Nathan Murphy adequately. I mean, I've been a big advocate of Billy Frampton, but he's not a replacement. You banked on Reece McInnes having like the most amazing year ever to replace him. That wasn't going to happen. That's no disrespect in terms of McInnes. It's just, it would have been his first season defence, so you can't expect he's going to fill Murphy's role.
No.
And then in terms of your forward woes, you've sort of gone, well, let's get another mid-sized forward in here, and let's slow the forward six by bringing in more talls. It's like, well, that's not going to work either. So I don't think in their list management that they really addressed the list needs. I would have rather said this, like, they used pick 10 on shorts. Again, this is nothing against shorts. I'm just saying what we needed. I would have rather they threw pick 10 at, Taranto at Richmond as an example, or just any other mid, like one of the Gold Coast ones at that point that they potentially could have said, here's John Noble, pick 10, give us, whoever. But they haven't looked at it. I mean, as far as I'm aware, they haven't looked. Maybe they looked at it and they just didn't work out. But these are the needs that this side has. And then when you look at break it down into 666, every third of the side needs some sort of improvement, needs some sort of replacement coming through. And the other thing is, what Darcy Moore, about 30, 31 next year? So how much longer is he going to go?
No, and that's the problem. And you look at the midfield woes, just to go back to that for a second, who's running around the VFL that can come in?
Well, Di Mattia's probably the only one.
Yeah, but he's got two of him in development already, in Long and Allen. There's just nobody else, and it's a little bit disheartening. I mean, the strategy obviously is to, what did Fly say? I don't want picks, I want players.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, you've got to have it go both ways, I think. We can't just keep loading up on cast-offs or people that aren't coming to perform for a year because they don't know where to run yet.
Well, the other thing with that, I want picks, not players. So when you trade for a player, so let's say, you trade for Houston or you trade for McStay or, wherever it is. And I know McStay was a free agent, but I mean, like, acquire a known quantity. You know exactly what you're getting. They're not going to improve. McStay wasn't suddenly going to become Tony Lockett now it is at Collingwood. And that's not disrespect intended to him. It just, when you look at it and you go get some mature age player, you know what you're getting. They've hit their peak in all likelihood. And you're getting them to be plug and play. They're going to fit straight into the side. When you get draftees, these are guys that have to win their spot. So there's an attrition there. And they got no ceiling immediately.
It's generally upside.
Yeah, so my other big concern is you're going to get these mature, these picks and all that sort of stuff, and you're just going to create a really good competitive side that's not going to be able to match it with the monster sides who have got all this talent. And Gold Coast is obviously showing that talent's maturing.
Oh, they're going to be a scary proposition for a few years.
And there's a few other clubs who are similar. So, and you look at like Adelaide, they took 6 years to really bounce back. And now look how scary they look. They got guns on every line. They got two really great young forwards, and Taylor Walker's still a really good forward. And we're just sort of like patching holes and going, we're just this far away, just an inch away from getting the side where we want to get it. And it doesn't have enough dynamism, I can't pronounce that. It doesn't have enough speed, and it doesn't have enough cream. It has a lot of really good role players. It reminds me of, you go back to 2003, we got in that grand final, and we got smashed. And if you go look back at that side, it's like, I don't even know how we got anywhere near a grand final with that list. You had a lot of just really good role players, speculative players, and it was a testament to Malthouse's coaching. He got him anywhere near a grand final. And that's what this feels like too. It feels like you got a really good squad of role players, and you don't have enough power and elite talent at the very top. And if you had to say, like, being totally honest, how many elite A-graders are in that list?
Nick?
Yeah. That's it. He's the only one.
I was really wanted to find another one.
There's not. Houston's meant to be, but he's not performing it at that level.
Finn McRae?
So Moore's dropped off. Pendles and Sidebottom naturally have dropped off. Howe would be a really good B grader. Maybe Elliot, maybe, but I'd say like in the position he plays, he's probably more a really good B grader. Hill, we've said it. He's really just been a highlights machine since the Norm Smith medal.
Mm-hmm.
Schultz is a really good B grader when he's. I was really happy to see how well he played the other night because he's struggled since he's come back from injury. But there's no real other ones that are, A graders. And the worst thing is when you look at the list, which of those guys is going to become an A grader that's coming through?
Look, I'd probably would have the most investment in Ned Allen.
Do you think he's going to be an A grader?
I'd really. You see him in the mould of Cripps. If you can utilise that side. I mean, the thing is, I think he does some nice things. He's just not using that bulk to his ability. He's just too timid at the moment. He should be running through blokes. He should be a contested beast like with Cripps. And that's the bit that you look at going, I want you to become that type of player.
But they need to play him in that role then. They're not doing that.
No.
The one thing with Cripps, not that I follow Carlton at all, but I recall when he was...
You love him.
Yeah. When he was drafted, my Carlton friend was just going, you can't believe this kid. He's a beast. And that was on his first year. He just hit the ground running. And he's been Carlton's best midfielder ever since. So we've had Allen. I'd like to see him play in the middle. I'd like to see him being given a bit more responsibility. Go, you know what, get your body in there, get some aggro in there. Monster the smaller players. And this is one thing that I also disappointed in. Not only do we have a slow midfield, but we also generally have a pretty small midfield. Pendles and longer side. And this is why I'd like to see Crispy in there, because he's actually got some speed, and he's got some bulk, and he's got some dare about the way he plays.
Oh, I think he really probably needs to go back in there for the rest of the season. He's just not really doing much this year.
No. So
it couldn't get any worse, could it?
Well, that remains to be seen. Any final thoughts about this game?
No, I think the overall feeling I had with this one is this is the one where I thought, we've had a down month, that I wanted to see some light at the end of the tunnel. I wanted to see... I actually thought that they'd win this. I had my doubts in the first quarter, but the comeback in the second, I thought, well, no, I think we're on top of them now. I think we've got their measure.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then they came out at half time, and it was just a carbon copy almost of quarter one. And you're thinking, that's just, don't be that. You can be better than this. Don't be that. And then I left the game. It was just like, this is a kick in the nuts. It's like, all I could think of was that line from that Eminem song about here comes reality or something like that, and goes gravity or something like that. It was just like, that was a smack in the face.
I mean, that was Vanilla Ice.
Is it? Yeah. Whoever. I'm no good at these rap.
Yeah, looking at
stars.
Brisbane, looking at their midfield, you got Neil in there, who's obviously a champion. You got that McLuggage, who's had an amazing year. Dunkley's a really, really good...
Oh, the Ashcrofts are freaks.
And no one's complaining about the father-sons there. But just, you look at they got quality at the top. And our quality is still relying on Pendles and Sidebottom having a really big input. Pendles was drafted in 206. They got to find... and this has always been our worry with the renovation they're doing of the list. Are you really bringing in quality, or are you just bringing in role players?
You're bringing in role players, and I think you're bringing in the best role players available, who necessarily aren't the best solutions.
I mean, the other guy they could potentially try there too is Perryman, because he was sort of brought in for that.
I thought he was going to come in, because he played mid at...
he did play
at the Orange team.
Yeah, but I think long submergence pushed him out, so...
Again, it sort of feels like you've structured now a lot of role players in the wrong roles, or in the wrong positions rather. It'll be interesting whether they go back on what they're trying. And I think at this point of the season, you're more or less committed, I think, to carry it through, aren't you? It was successful for a period there, but it's left wanting in the last 5
weeks. No, they have to try something, because I think it's just sinking.
Well, we'll find out in a few days'
And what they're
time.
doing isn't... what they're doing isn't going to suddenly galvanise. There's just too many issues. There's too many cracks that have opened up. McRae will talk the good game at press conferences as usual. We've got to try... we've got a lot of work to do, or work in progress and all that sort of stuff.
I didn't watch the press
I
conference,
didn't
but
either,
one of my mates said he did come across quite angry.
Good.
So hopefully that's a good sign.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, even someone like Houston throwing him into the middle, they got to do something, and it could just be that one change which
Gives a
totally.
spark.
And look, again, I've backed Long for 2 years, but when you got a midfielder getting 9 possessions,
It's not enough.
that's not enough. So if you replace him again, say Mitchell, that could have a flow-on effect that suddenly, okay, Nick can be more on the outside, Pendle's inside, but I don't have as much responsibility, and then it flows on.
I think it needs to get back to that.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like it could just be that one change that really
becomes a catalyst for getting
it.
people to get back into the groove.
Yeah. So and I think that the forward six they got to get a little bit smaller.
One of them has to go. I think that's an absolute given. Treat them with respect or whatever on the way out, but one of them has to go.
Yeah. So.
And the other one then just becomes whoever goes becomes.
Well, maybe it's my check because John Ralph said he could go.
In case of that's it. Yeah, in case of emergency break glass. If he left, would you begrudge him?
No.
If he went for more money at the tail end, I wouldn't.
No,
He's been a warrior for Collingwood. You'd have nothing but love for him. And if he goes next year, then so be it. We'll get compensated for 2 first rounders, won't we?
Yeah, that's 2 top 5 picks.
Yeah, we could trade them for some magic.
I
beans.
don't like. There's talk about there's frustration in the playing list about the contracts that are being offered with some of the players, and I'm just sort of like, I'm actually, I don't expect Collingwood's lowballing. I expect Collingwood just going, well, we gave out all these exorbitant contracts 10 years ago and nearly killed the club with the salary cap. And we've got to be a lot more frugal now and realistic. And if these guys can go elsewhere and get a lot more money, then good luck to them. But the thing is, if you lose a couple of them, imagine like, for example, Jeremy Howe and Mychek went. Where do you go from next year? I mean, actually, let me put that to you right now. Let's say we kept everyone. We re-signed everyone. What's your expectation for 2026?
Oh, it wouldn't be great. I think this is the last shot that we've got to fire this year. I don't think we could maintain with the age. I mean, we've performed miracles with that list. I don't think we could expect another year out of it. But I don't think we're also going to rebuild from the bottom up either. So it's going to be hard to know what the club's got in its mind. We get linked to how many players have been linked to this year.
I think I've picked Bont, De Koning, and Raul up.
Yeah, so none of them happened. So what's next? Who's next tiers? So it's back to the B graders, really, isn't it?
I think Lockie Keefe's on the list.
Why not?
Adam Treloar and and I think we're going to Gold Coast or Gold Coast Suns to get Danny Stanley's number again.
The thing is, I don't think we could contend again next year if we kept the status quo going. But we're not the club. If we were the club, we'd be on about 90 flags by now.
Yeah, we would. Because I don't buy into this shit.
I just don't see. It'll be interesting to see what their strategy is. You couldn't even second guess. I don't think we're going to hold. We've got some. We're linked to a number of up and coming talent.
Yeah, but they're 3-4 years away.
And Tom McGowan.
Yeah.
Who I'm really not convinced by, but anyway, I hope I'm wrong. Maybe he's been told to stick his head between his legs and be shit at VFL to keep his price down. But there's that.
Well, VFL sign's the place to do
Saxena and all these other ones. That what are they NQRs or something?
Yeah, NGRs. Next Generation Academy.
That they're meant to be tracking well. I think that West will be good. That Hayes seems to be all right. Is it the one that's nicknamed the Animal or something? He's kicking a lot of goals. Ours. He looks all right. And they're young, which means that you're getting another core there. But if you're gonna persist with more of the same and then piecemeal them in, it's going to feel like a wasted year. I think it's going to be the other way around. The older boys now have to complement that next generation, and at the end of the year, no matter what happens, whether we win the flag or not, that's where we need to start pretty much with a brand new look next year, because the old firm, it's not going to work again.
I think they really need to address the midfield issue and find someone to complement Nick and take some of the pressure off Nick. I don't know who that is.
Rao.
Yeah, well, okay.
Bont.
These are all the guys coming down in 2027, aren't they?
Well, that's it. Well, now we know that we've got them in a few years' time.
They...
You know what milk tastes like when it's past its use by date?
No, I never drink it.
Shit.
Yeah. How do you know what shit tastes like?
I watched Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, I think they really need to get someone in to help Nick. I think that would help a lot of the issues.
Oh, that's definite.
It has to be someone big-bodied, not like a fast outside mid. You need someone who's going to be able to stand up in tackles.
Like Ed Allen.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think a lot more
Or
responsible.
McCreary.
I mean, I find it a little bit weird that they were happy to throw Long in there, but with Ed Allen, they've sort of always played him on the outside when the few times he's looked really good in the VFL was on the inside. So that's a strange selection to me. I don't know if it's just they want his body mature, because then Long is...
So, Allen and Titch didn't play in the VFL this week, I believe.
No, I don't believe they did.
Which is interesting. Yeah, right.
I did ask you final thoughts. Do you have any other final thoughts?
No, fuck off. Just maybe win the next few fucking games.
What do you think about this Hawthorn game coming up?
Yeah, I'm nervous. Look, I think the game of the week this week was Adelaide. Adelaide and Hawthorn. That was a cracking fucking game.
Yeah.
Hawthorn really took it to them, and then Adelaide had a massive comeback in the second. I'm hopeful that was a taxing game for them. They're travelling. It's you know how crippling it is flying from Adelaide back to Melbourne.
Yeah, it's a whole hour.
Well, it's an hour, but you're also travelling through 3 decades of time to get back to the future. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
Hopefully it's taxing on them. They lost Will Day, which is a big out for them.
Huge loss.
But they've still got a lot of talent, and their young ability to give me the shits will probably get them over the line against us. At the moment, I reckon we've been exposed by a lot of leg speed. The younger sides in Gold Coast and I think actually Brisbane just beat us with a lot of experience. More than anything. Richmond pushed us with young legs. I think there's a bit of a theme going there that and the Hawthorn are going to be keen to exploit. They know we're looking old and tired, and they're going to try and run through us. And we know that our structure's not going to get us through it. It's going to be... They'll go in Brisbane with confidence. We should be stinging from the other night. I reckon that's probably close to our worst game for the year that we've played. Surely that's a smack.
I don't know. There's about 3 of them. I reckon there could be.
It's one of, but it's pretty bad. I don't think they would have gone in there thinking that we were going to get beaten by 5 goals.
Well, that flattered them too.
Yeah, I think we should be fired, and we'll see what happens. But I wouldn't be confident. And the one next over against Adelaide scares the living bejesus out of me. And Melbourne, who fucking knows?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's going to depend on where are we sitting on the ladder at any given point. If we dropped like a game and then had to win the 2 others, obviously that's going to be a bit more impetus. But the one thing with Brisbane, I will say, is because they got smashed by Gold Coast, obviously they were going to come out stung and really firing. And, now we've been stung, so...
Well, maybe we could look at that and think that could be motivation.
Well, you'd hope, but, I think they got to,
the thing that's
they've got to work out the playing 23.
What really could fucking shit me rotten is we went from 2.5 games clear to now in the last couple of weeks we're relying on fucking results to keep us in the 4. No. If it turns out that way, I'm going to be pissed.
No, I disagree with that. We've dropped a second, so we're still second. All you got to do is win.
No, I agree with that.
That's all it is. You got to win. Now, if you lose and drop to 7 for whatever, well, you deserve that.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, it's just that whole fucking thing. We shouldn't be in a position where we've dominated. That we're now looking at how the other games are panning out. That could influence our ability to go up, down, or whatever. Yeah, we're masters of that fucking of that end point. It's up to us from here.
Well, it always has been.
And Dan Houston.
Sergio Montoro, kept with the good work, like the managed comments, agree timing. Colin 90, the team desperately requires an injection of speed. Hildegoy and McCreary need to come back before finals. The Graniac, would you trade Darcy Cameron and Bobby Hill for Harley Reid? I would drive them both to West Australia.
Yeah, I wouldn't think there'd be too much objection to that. We love them, but see you later.
Yep. Ashen Prism will take the win against Richmond. We could have thumped them, but inaccurate kicking in the second half let us down. I didn't like how the Tigers sliced and diced us up in between the arcs, which everyone's actually doing. If they move the ball far too easily, a few teams are hitting top form, so we need to be at our best over the next few weeks. Yeah, okay. I'm going to come back to one of these comments.
It reminds me of that scene in The Simpsons where Nelson and Bart and everything, they come out of that David Lynch film, Naked Lunch, and then Nelson goes, there are two things I can see wrong with that title. It's like that thing. There's just something I can see wrong with that sentence.
The cosmic ballet continues. Matt Catania. Brisbane made us look so ordinary. No effort, no pace. Markov, Hoskin Elliott, Lipinski, Houston played shit and probably need to be dropped. Charlie Dean not only should be dropped, but they're listed. No defensive IQ, too slow and can't kick. How we selected over Frampton is beyond me. Team needs a spray and a couple bring your mouth guard training sessions. We're a joke at the moment. And I do not disagree.
Was that Fly McRae wrote that one in?
That was Dan Houston's mother.
Did we ever think about her? She hot?
I don't want to go there. Well, this makes the timing of this comment. This is a new commenter. Luke TYCJ.
Luke THX11.
TY2CJ. I know you're probably too busy, but I'm sure I'm not alone in the suggestion. You should do more videos. Or maybe some lives.
You said you wouldn't want to see us live. you wouldn't want to see us under this makeup.
I'm watching this for the second time, haha. By the way, you and Into the Woods boys seems to be the only ones who are calling out the Houston situation. Everyone else is pushing the Houston club narratives to suck up to the club so they have future favours or access to players, in my opinion. Correct. If it was anyone else, they would be playing twos. Yep, totally.
The only player we get's Hoskin Elliott. He's here every week. Can't we suck up to the club and get someone else?
I just want to qualify this again because
Dan Houston can come, but he'd probably get lost on the way here. He said he can't come for another year.
Because we always get these criticisms. It's like, I want these players to do well, so it doesn't give us joy to shit counting them. I want them to play well. I'd be happy if Hoskin Elliott was best on ground for the next 4 weeks in a row. I'd love him to do that, okay? But don't fucking disguise reality and tell yourself everything's great when it's not.
Here comes reality. Oops, there goes gravity. Is that it? Did I get it right?
I don't know what you're quoting
no
tonight.
idea.
Evan Purdy. So this is from Facebook. Great stuff, guys. You may not realise it, but your opinions analysis is more in line with Collingwood fans than you think. Did you know that?
I don't think much at all.
I can attest to that. We love the team and want them to do well every year, but there is frustration at times because we feel like we should be doing better. Love listening every week. Thanks, Evan. And we love your Arthur podcast about Disney Star Wars. Who knew you were such big fans? Someone found those reviews.
You're digging back in the archives there.
Yeah.
They were great nights at the cinema, from what I remember.
I think it was just tooling.
Back then, you could afford to drink 68 beers after a movie.
Yeah. And we had that person about, did you think about his mother? That's what, like Last Jedi.
Is that what? Isn't that what the Emperor said to Anakin?
No, wasn't that in Last Jedi where he I was asking for his mother?
Fucking Jesus Christ, that movie. Seriously. If you want to hear our opinion on it, you can do a search.
Yeah.
What was it? Jump off point.
Yeah, Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
It'll just be under the same.
We went on.
Branding.
We went on for a couple of hours. It was shit, but you probably enjoy it. This guy Will. What was his name?
Will
Hoskin Elliott. Is that him? Oh, Will here.
Any final thoughts?
He's holding me back. No, just go out and beat the Hawks. There's Hawks this week.
Hawks on Thursday night.
Short day, five turn.
But fortunately, you finished playing at half time.
Yeah, that's right. We've got an extra half an hour of rest. 2 hours of rest, or whatever it is. Just go out and fuck it. Yeah, just take the fucking smug little turds and smack them into oblivion. It'll make my night easier, and his night easier, and all our nights easier. Just fucking win.
Yeah, I got a big day on Friday. I got some meetings, so, prime me for that by having a good night. All right, that's it from us. Subscribe, like, leave comments.
All right, look at me. I'm Dan Houston. He's down in Houston.
There you go.
See, if you knew where to run, you would have walked around that. Did you see what he did there? They're like those statues. Ah, we're fucked.
Yeah.